Hello, and welcome to today's module. Today we're talking about trusts for the vulnerable. What does that mean? I will explain in a little moment. Let's start by talking about trusts generally and about perceptions. There is a perception that trusts are for the rich. In my picture I have a fancy car and a mansion, so trusts are for looking after mansions, looking after fancy cars, looking after collections of fine art, gold bullion, family businesses, family dynasty, wealth portfolios, all this kind of thing. And yes, actually, that's true. But that's most certainly not the only thing that trusts can do. In New Zealand, where I come from, if you look at ordinary families, not millionaires or billionaires, ordinary families, you'll see that they very commonly have a trust, because a trust, as we've seen in some of these other modules, is actually a really useful thing for you and your family to have. So ordinary people and also trusts are, as we will see today, very important for what I'm going to call the vulnerable. And I have a little bit of a stereotype here because I have a boy in a wheelchair, but that's not really what it is what vulnerable means, but it's not really what vulnerable means. So we'll try and explain a little bit more what is vulnerable. And my definition is that vulnerable is anybody who, for whatever reason, cannot look after themselves. At least that's my definition for the purposes of this module. Why can they not look after themselves? It could be mental or physical challenges. And we have this idea in our heads that we're talking about children. Yes, we are, because all of us are somebody's child. But we're not talking about little children, because mental and physical challenges don't go away. They stay with people throughout their lives. So when we look at these trusts, for who are they established? It is mostly not children. It's mostly adults. It's adults who are vulnerable. And it doesn't have to be just physical, mental challenges. There are many other reasons why people can be vulnerable. I can think of a few. For example, addiction issues, inability to manage money, gambling problems, things like this. Today we're going to focus mostly on the physical and mental challenges, but the same concept, the same ideas can be applied to other people who are vulnerable in a different way. Okay, so we're going to start by trying to understand this by looking at a couple of examples. And examples are always good as a way to help understand and paint some pictures. So, example number one. Here we have a mother. Obviously there was a father at some point, but he's not in the picture, literally and figuratively. He's no longer around. We have two girls on the left, and we have the vulnerable son on the right. And in this picture, it's a happy family. In this picture, everything is nice, and the family is young. And so that's all good, but you have to think about the future and what happens as time goes by. So as time goes by, if this is a normal family, then the two girls on the left will become adults, and they will leave the nest. They will go out into the world and start their own lives as adults. But the boy, the son, he's not going to do that. Because he, in this case, is not able to look after himself. So he's going to stay at home, and he's going to be cared for by his mother. And with a normal family, parents expect that after 20 years or so that their care duties come to an end, or maybe not completely to an end, but the pressure eases off, But the boy here is going to be staying in the home and dependent on his mother for care for the rest of his life. And then what? So again, I said we're not talking about children. We often see people in the position of this boy who are, for example, 60 years old. And their parent, their mother, is 80. And at this point in time, you start to see some very obvious questions. What's going to happen when the parent is gone? Who is going to look after the child? Now, there's the question of the physical care of the child. And there's also, and that's what we're talking about today, the financial care of that child. Families are different. So in this family, it may be, I don't know the relationships, but in some families there may be a discussion within the family, and it may be that the sisters, because the son, should he inherit the money? I'm not sure, because he doesn't have the capacity to deal with it himself, and if he does inherit it, then who will he in turn pass it on to on his death? He may or may not have the capacity to make a will. So maybe you leave all the money in the hands of the sisters, and then you rely on them to look after their brother financially. And for some families, that's going to work because the relationships and trust within the family are good and strong. And for other families, that's not going to work. And so then we need to think about how do we create a financial resource, a financial pool to protect assets so that they are preserved for the benefit of the son, and to make sure that he has the things that he needs to support him for the rest of his life. And that's where a trust for the vulnerable in this family comes into play. Scenario 2, or example 2, very, very similar, but without the two sisters. And without the two sisters, I think the case becomes even more compelling, because who is it that is going to look after the financial needs of the son after the mother is gone? And basically, you need something. You really need some kind of, as I said, some kind of pool where the money is preserved and the assets are preserved. The house in which the child lives is preserved and protected for his benefit. And so that is what we are trying to achieve today. So let's look at how it typically, everybody is different, every family is different, but how it might work. So we start with our normal picture of a trust that we've seen in many other of these modules. We have here the parents, or parent as the case may be, as the founder, grantor, settlor, whatever your vocabulary is, the person who creates the trust. We have here trustees. And in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense for the parents or one of the parents to be one of the trustees, because they are, during the child's life, they are in any case the most active manager of the finances. But what is also good is to have somebody else, some, let's say, third party, who is there to provide continuity, so that when the parents do pass on, we are already up and running. We have somebody who understands the situation, and we can have already solved the problem of what to do with the money, because the financial guardian is there. The child will have some kind of physical guardian to look after his or her physical needs, physical care, and it may be the same person, but more often it's not. We have also, in this case, we create a financial guardian who is looking after the financial needs of the child. And by that, we're talking about the things, the assets that are in in the trust. What goes in there? Definitely the place where the child lives, because the last thing we want to do is for the child to lose parents and then be forced to relocate from the place where he or she has most probably lived his whole life. And in there too should be enough financial resources to take care of the child, and how much. It depends on the context of the family. It depends on how much money there is. So sometimes people have to cut their cloth accordingly. It depends on the situation if there are siblings. So if there are siblings, it might be that the parents divide everything into, in our scenario 1, there are 3 siblings, into a third, a third, a third. The 2/3 go to the girls, and a third is in here to look after their son, if that third is going to be enough. Don't put everything into the trust, because, of course, the parents still need some money to live on day to day. So it's better to just put in, let's say, the longer-term investment type assets, houses, things like that. And then we come to the beneficiaries, and of course, the primary beneficiary is the vulnerable child. That's why we have created this whole structure. And if we do it correctly, then from the day that the parents are no longer able to take care of the child, everything, at least from the financial side, continues as it was before. The child has the same place to live in. There is money to pay for his or her clothing, activities, holidays, of course food, all of these kind of things. Don't forget, though, to plan for the unexpected. So in this primary group of beneficiaries also needs to be the parents. Why? Because, and again I'm being a bit sort of depressing here, but it's possible that the child dies first, in which case then you simply want to distribute everything back to the parents. It's possible that the parents themselves need care. As they age, they may need physical care, and so the money needs to be also available for that purpose. Just a note here, if you look, you will see that we have the parents here, we have the parents here, and we have the parents here. So for most trusts, I would say that's not a terrifically good idea to have the same people in all 3 positions. If asset protection was a goal here, this most definitely would not work. In this case, I don't especially have a problem with it, but I think it's something that you need to think about and consider in the context of your own legal environment. It may not be even possible to do this, and if not, you need to adjust slightly according to the rules that you are playing with. Okay. One day in the future, these 3 people will be gone. And then what? And then what is a very good question. So I think there are 2 possibilities. Number 1 possibility is if we are back to example 1 where there are siblings, then it's clear enough the money probably would then be redirected onwards to the siblings, the 2 sisters in our example. Example 2, there were no siblings. So there's nobody else, there's no family who can get the money. There might be some cousin or something, and that's fine. But what a lot of people do, and in my experience, is they acknowledge the challenges and how difficult it has been for them as parents of a vulnerable person. And so quite often they decide that they would like the money to then go to help families who are in a similar situation. We had one trust we established a few years ago, which involved quite a large house. And at the end of the process, that house was reallocated as an environment for similar families to use as a resource. It can also be, we've seen money that has been donated and given to NGOs caring in this area, or to charities, and so on. And sometimes this happens even where there are siblings. So it varies from family to family, but don't forget, the money has to go eventually somewhere, on the assumption, of course, that there is some money left. And that leads into my next topic, things to think about. What happens if the money runs out? And here you really need the help of somebody with some financial experience to look at how much money you have, look at how long things are expected to continue for, and to make sure that there is enough money in the trust, and to consider what happens if the money runs out. And if the calculation is tight, then you need to think about how do we budget, how do we make sure that we can make the money last for as long as it needs to last. So you need to have this, it's no good just leaving somebody a house, because they still have to have food, they still have to pay for the maintenance of the house, and all these kind of things. So it has to be done as part of a, let's say, I hate to say financial plan, but yes, a kind of a financial plan for the future of the child. The other thing to think about, and I know this is a little bit, that is conflict of interest. And I'm thinking here specifically about siblings. And this is one of the reasons why trusts are there, because if we simply leave the money to the siblings, they will see the money, they will be, let's say, quite fond of the money, and there's a temptation then there for them to compromise the level of care that they're giving to their brother or sister. The same applies when we're talking about financial guardians, physical guardians. We want to make sure that people are motivated to do the very best thing for the child, and not to do the very best thing for themselves. And if there's a chance for them to grab a hold of the money, then that can be an issue. So you just need to, it's not necessarily a problem, but something you need to think about as you go through the creation of these structures. So that's really all. This is a not overly complicated topic. It's an important topic because it's very important for these families, and trusts are one of the few viable solutions for these issues. So yeah, something to think about. Thank you. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found that useful and helpful. If you'd like to see more of this, please like the video and please subscribe using the button that you can see just there. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and thanks again for watching.